What's up, everybody? Welcome to Monday night edition of Chicago Sports Podcast. We are the monsters of the Madhouse on a Monday after Easter. How's your Easter? But how was your Easter this weekend, guys? I know you both were in the Dells, so that was
you were putting too much of my information out there. But yeah, it was a good spring break, good Easter, all that.
Yeah, you too, Brandon.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, man. Spent some time with the family. Had some good food.
Dude, man, we ended up doing a leg of lamb, deep frying a turkey. I would have thought that it was Thanksgiving and not Easter. You know?
Yeah, lamb seems to be a big Easter thing, which I'm just finding out.
Yeah. We got some friends that are Greek, so they kind of got it from them. But anyway, so guys, tonight what I wanted to talk about was the NFC North. And if you guys remember when Poles came in, he said, I quote, "The Bears, we want to take the North and never give it back." So that's I kind of wanted to get into that. I know we talked a lot of draft. We'll still get into some of that tonight. But I don't know, like the way if you're reading everything on social media and reading some of the animated personalities, you're hearing a lot of talk that for this year it's the playoffs are bust. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that. Oops. You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that, but what do you guys think, Brandon? Do you think that it's playoffs or bust this year for the Bears, or what are you looking for this season from them?
No, I don't necessarily think so. I mean, I think that's the aspiration, not the expectation. You know, I don't know that that's the mentality that Ryan Poles or the Bears organization has going in. I think they just want to see progression from a young quarterback. But, you know, I know with 7 wins last year and they put themselves in an even better situation this year, I'm sure they'd be disappointed if they didn't go to the playoffs, but I don't think that would really alter their plan in any way, shape, or form. Because like I've said, I think it's something – I think they're really looking at this like it's 2 years, maybe 3 years out. And then the reality is you're still in a really tough division. And is playoffs achievable with the division the Bears are in? Well, they still have some questions on their roster for sure. They have not found an answer to every question they had in the offseason yet. So,
what about you, Dustin? What are your thoughts?
I think this is a pretty good team, Dano. And I mean, I agree with Brandon in terms of, you know, the division is going to be tough. You know, you still got the Lions in there, you still got the Packers in there. And the Vikings are going to make a play for a quarterback along with all the moves they've made. So it's going to be one of the tougher divisions in the NFL from what I can tell. The over-under at FanDuel, they had them coming in at 8.5 wins, which, you know, those things aren't always accurate, but they're usually a pretty good baseline to kind of tell you where Vegas thinks that's going to go. They're not trying to make it too easy for somebody to win on that, right? So I think 9 games is totally doable. And I mean, whether or not that's playoffs, probably not, man. But, you know, we got the extra teams now in the playoffs, so you could see that 9-win team sneak in and cause a little ruckus. And the Bears could be one of those teams with the additions they've made. It's going to take a lot of things going right. Teams got to stay healthy throughout the entire season, you know.
Yeah.
Got to get some breaks. But I think 8.5 is a tricky number to look at when you're looking at the Bears and their projected success this season, but there's still a draft coming. And if that falls the right way, that can make a big difference in what I think right now in terms of their season expectations.
Right. And Dustin, speaking of go ahead, Brandon, do you have something to say?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, playoffs is one thing, but I think when you're discussing whether or not a team should win a division, if you think a team is capable of winning a division, I think that means the general belief is they're capable of contending for a Super Bowl, and I don't know that the Bears are in that position because, like Dustin said, they're 1 or 2 players away from a really, really good roster, but also 1 or 2 players away, 1 or 2 injuries away from disaster. Honestly,
and that's every team. That's every team in the league. You know, key
Well,
guys
to me-
get hurt,
To me, the
it's going
team
to be a
that
tough season.
the team you expect to win a division, you expect to contend. At least the history has shown that it's a lot of depth in the on roster, and I don't know that the Bears have a lot of depth. I know they've signed a running back, gives them a little more leeway there. They've signed they signed Owens because Brisker had a lot of injuries. But in regards to their defensive line, their linebacking core, and their wide receivers, you have one player, like I said, one injury away from a big problem.
Yeah, and I think everybody wants to talk about the Packers and the Lions, but I think the Vikings are going to be the real wild card. I think depending on who they draft at quarterback, they could surprise a lot of people too. I think, like I said, everybody's talking Lions, Packers, and Bears, but I think that if Vikings maybe go up and get a J.J. McCarthy or something, they could be competitive too.
I don't see it with J.J. McCarthy personally.
No.
I think they're going to try to make a play up there for Drake May. I think that they got 2 first-round picks right now, and they got it for that sole reason to make the best play possible at a quarterback.
Yeah,
and Drake May projects out a lot better than J.J. McCarthy.
Right.
And I watched J.J. McCarthy a lot this year, and I just don't see it.
Yeah, I don't get the whole J.J. McCarthy myself either.
Jim Harbaugh talks about how good he is, how he thinks he's the best quarterback in this draft. And you hear people say that Jim Harbaugh's not a guy to blow smoke. You kind of want to say, he's just saying that because he's backing up his guy. But
yeah,
he's a really good quarterback evaluator. So I do put some, I do give that some credence, but I don't see it with J.J. McCarthy personally. And if the Vikings are making a play, I think they're going to try to get up there at that number 3 spot and get Drake May.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing in the comments there, Cheryl, how's it going? I see you're
Hey,
giving us a score update.
Hey, Cheryl.
Hawks 61, Bulls 53 at halftime. Who else we got out there? We got
Let's go,
Leroy.
boys.
What's up, Pinky? Grizz, what's up, man? Bear down, baby.
What's up, guys? Thank you for being here.
We got 75 in the chat right now. We love you guys. Thanks. We love when you guys comment. We love when you guys interact. That's what we want. We want this show to be about not just us 3 knuckleheads up there, but we want everybody to be part of this show. But speaking of draft, Dustin and Brandon, I was thinking everybody we can all assume that they're going to pick Caleb Williams in the first. I mean, that's pretty much a done deal. I was thinking with that. Yeah. So, if anybody that thinks that, they're just kidding themselves. Oh, with the ninth pick, is there any? You would have to say that we can probably assume there's going to be four quarterbacks picked before the Bears pick again at 9, right? That's a safe assumption.
Oh yeah. I think
so. That being said, that should leave some blue chip players at either tackle, wide receiver, or edge. Which, if there's a blue chip player at one of those 3 positions, who would you think would which player do you think would give them the best shot at being competitive next year?
Well, I think go ahead, Brandon.
I'm sorry, not competitive, but let's say that's going to put them over the top. And man, they might be in the driver's seat of the division. Is it a Joe Altballin? Is it a Roma Duze? I mean, what do you guys think?
I think what's important is what the Bears think. I think when you're picking in the top 10, you just got to take the best talent off the board. You don't want to get cute. And I think it's going to come down to how Ryan Poles has these players, how he has them pre-ranked before the draft. And I think if a Joe Alt is there, I would imagine that's the safest pick for Ryan Poles. But if he's not, I think it just comes down to who does he have at the top of his board. So if you have Roma Dunze, Jared Verse, and Dallas Turner on the board, still it's who does Ryan Poles has ranked as the best one of those talents.
Right.
I think they've made it pretty clear that they're down to those 3 positions, right? Defensive end, right? Yeah. They want a pass rusher. They're looking at receiver, and they're looking at a blindside protector for their future franchise quarterback. and they've said as much, and they're breaking their scouting departments into 3 categories to where they're going to evaluate and submit the pros and cons about getting one of those guys versus taking that edge or whatever. You know, they're going to make those debates within the building and come up with the best possible scenario, which is really, it gives me a lot of confidence as a Bears fan when you hear that they're going to those lengths within that building.
Yeah.
I had a thought, and I'll just throw it out to you guys, because at number 9, there's a very good chance that a lot of those premier players are going to be gone. You know, the more we're getting close to it and I'm seeing more mocks, I'm like, damn, Neighbors is gone, Adunze's gone, Alt is gone.
Yeah.
You know, and it's going to be tough to sit there and watch those guys go. We keep talking about how much draft capital the Bears have next year, right?
Yep.
The 9 picks.
Yep.
They got 2 second rounders.
Mm-hmm.
Are we opposed to the thought of them trading up? You know, I know Arizona's down to play. I know the Chargers are down to play, and one of those picks is going to go for a quarterback, JJ McCarthy, right?
I mean, I would love that. You know, go ahead.
Would you give up, would you give up your 9th pick and then a second rounder next year and your 3rd rounder in this upcoming draft to get to that 5th spot and secure the best possible talent out of those positions?
I absolutely would, because I mean, if we could possibly have up to 11 picks next year. You know what I mean? So, to me, that's almost a no-brainer. If you have that opportunity to go get yourself a Neighbors or an Alt or somebody like that, and you go get, and you still got 6 picks next year. You know what I mean? I
think it's totally worth it. Personally, I think it's something that the Bears should consider, because otherwise, you're watching really premier talent fly off the board. Not saying it's easy, but they do have some tools in their kit to make a move like that and ensure that they get one of their choice of those top guys. You know, if they can make something work with the Chargers at that 5 spot, say the Cardinals trade out and out of that number 4 spot, so for someone to move up for JJ McCarthy, that the option is there. And if you add a Neighbors to this team or a Joe Alt to this team, it takes them from 8.5 projected wins, probably in my mind, up to like 9.5. Neighbors is a game breaker. Alt will change your offensive line just inserting him in there. Like, those are guys, like, if we feel like we're this close,
right,
why not spend the capital to get up and get somebody that, like you said, could put you over the top?
What about you, Brandon? What do you think?
Yeah, I think if they're going to get that aggressive, they know who they want. If they're doing that, I'd imagine it's a play for either Marvin Harrison or Joe Alt. If you're going to get aggressive like that,
don't count out Neighbors.
I don't personally think the talent falls off very far from Marvin Harrison to the other 2 top 3 candidates there. But
let's say this: I think we've said this before. If his name wasn't Marvin Harrison Jr., would Neighbors be the number 1 pick or the number 1 rated receiver in the draft?
I mean,
Harrison's really good for sure.
And he's got the body. He's different. He's a different
AJ Green type.
He's a different athlete, different specimen. But I mean, I do believe if once Joe Alt is off the board, the talent at the tackle position is pretty substantially lessened, honestly. Like, you heard a lot about Fashanu early this offseason, and his draft stock's kind of fallen, and now I'm hearing a lot of Latham. So if you're making an aggressive move like that and Joe Alt is there, you probably want to nab that guy up, honestly, over a receiver. But like Dustin said earlier, you know, injuries are part of the NFL, and Keenan Allen hasn't had a history of playing 17 games this season.
That's very true.
And if he's not there, if he misses, let's say, a couple weeks for the Bears, are you comfortable with Tyler Scott, Dante Pettis, and Velus Jones being your second option? Is your rookie quarterback comfortable with that? Probably not.
Well, I'm seeing mocks, man, where the Falcons are taking, you know, Aroma Dunze at number 8. You know, so like those chances exist where we get to that 9th pick and Adunze's gone, Neighbors is gone, Harrison's Jr. is definitely gone, Alt is definitely gone. So then you're looking at one of the 2 edge rushers, right? Or you're looking at Olu Fashanu or Latham, you know, some of those tackles that honestly at that point it's better to trade back in my mind, because you can get those guys at 11 or 12 or 13 and accrue a little extra draft capital. If that's the route you're going to go, one of those 2 defensive ends is still going to be there. So the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm just like, man, just fucking go for it. Just move up and get it.
Yeah, I got a comment here from Echo Bean. He's saying, hold on, let's see. He's saying, not sure Joe Alt will be that much better than B. Jones next season, but Neighbors is a game breaker.
That he is.
What do you guys?
I mean, I think Joe Alt is a definite upgrade over Braxton Jones. I don't think it's. I don't think it's close.
Well, and the Bears have had, I mean, detrimental health concerns with the offensive line. So let's say you draft Joe Alt, Braxton Jones is available to play in other positions. I think Braxton Jones could fill in at guard if he needed to.
Yeah, a good swing player.
If you draft Alt, you still. It's not like Braxton Jones is no longer on the roster. You can still utilize him.
Yeah. Then we got.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we got Duplessis 7 saying, would the Bears consider Bowers at 9 if all 3 wide receivers are gone? You know what, Duplessis? I don't know, man. I think we're set at tight end right now. Well, I don't know what you guys think. I think it would I would almost rather, even if the 3 wide receivers, I'd rather go for an edge rusher than go for Bowers. I mean, Bowers is great, but I don't know if we need another tight end right now, the way we're set up.
I'm firmly in the camp of not drafting a tight end in the top 10.
Yeah.
Personally, it doesn't really work out very much. You had Vernon Davis for the Niners. He was a good player. You know, Pitts was taken, 4th or 6th? And he has not worked out very well, right? I don't know. And then also the fact that you just signed Gerald Everett, like you said, you got 2 tight ends there. Now, I've read some compelling arguments to adding Bowers to this roster because he can play in the slot more. Right? And then you're asking him to block in the run game from the slot. He's in the middle of your field. So, I mean, like, I've read some compelling arguments that made me think, hey, that wouldn't be the worst thing because he is an elite talent. He is a blue chip prospect. I just think the value's not there versus other positions that they have bigger needs.
Well, the Bears have a lot of due diligence to continue to follow through with, but I've read a lot of who the Bears are meeting with over the course of the week. I have not read Brock Bowers once.
Yeah. We got another comment from VVV Jiggy.
What's up, Vinny?
How's that? You know him? Or?
That's a buddy of mine. Yeah.
Okay, cool. He says, if the Bears grab Harrison Jr. at first, is it worth rolling the dice on a different QB?
No.
I don't think that's going to happen. So
I'm sorry, Vinny. That's a dumb question.
I don't even think that's worth talking about, Vinny. I'm sorry, bro.
I mean, in his defense,
Caleb.
I think most people have Marvin Harrison ranked as the best talent in the draft over Caleb Williams. But when you're talking about the priority of the position, it's just a no-brainer to me. You get the best quarterback before you go after the best wide receiver.
Yeah, just real quick, guys. Yeah. I want to thank everybody watching us right now from Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. Love you guys. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like, subscribe. That way you could stay up to date on all our content. And also, if you like what you're watching now through YouTube, you could go back and watch a lot of our other videos. What are we on, about 4 days a week right now, guys? Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And then if you guys didn't know already, this past Saturday, we were over at one of our sponsors, Bridges Scoreboard in Griffith, Indiana, which, by the way, they have the great food. I've been there the last 2 weekends.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah, I had the first week, I had a chicken sandwich that was good, but then Saturday, Trax told me to try the fish and chips. Dude, I'm not a big fish guy. I was like, all right, I got to try them. And dude, they were the best fish and chips I ever had in my life.
Nice.
I would never order.
That's a testament.
You're right. I would never order fish. I've never gone to a restaurant and just ordered a fish. You know what I mean? And I would order that again probably.
I'm a big fish and chips guy. Dude, I had the burger when I was there. It was delicious.
Next time we're there,
great. Yeah,
you gotta have. But then also,
I'm gonna hit that up.
This question is interesting. Is Matty Reflus on a hot seat if the Bears fall short of the playoffs? This will probably be the most debated thing over the course of the season, other than is Fields better than Williams on the Steelers? But I don't think so. I don't. I don't think he's on the hot seat if they fall short of the playoffs. If they have an abysmal,
how short?
If they have if it's abysmal. I mean, if you're talking about like another 7-win season, there's no improvement. He's probably in trouble. I mean, if like Dustin said, if they win 9 games and the quarterback progresses throughout the course of the year, the thing to me is I'm not as sold on the Bears defense the way they finished the year last season as everybody else is. I don't
Why?
know.
Why?
They played a lot of bad teams, man, and I think
that's decent.
I think
they played some good ones too.
I think
they played a couple playoff teams in there too.
I think when they play, they're going to have to apply more pressure to the quarterback, man.
Yeah, hey guys, we got 100. We got 100 in the chat real quick.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Thanks, guys.
Hell yeah, guys! Thanks for being here.
But I digress, Brandon. Sorry, man. I don't know if you get more than that.
It's how short do they fall? It's do you see the progression in the defense? Do you see those pieces coming into place on the defensive side of the ball where Eberflus is, cutting his teeth and putting a lot of his effort? I think it comes down to, does Caleb Williams, grow as a quarterback we start to see that for the first time really in Bears history. We got a guy that we draft and develop, and that's under Eberflus's, umbrella. Shane Waldron works for him. So it's really a thing of, does that defense perform, and do the Bears, hit that 8 to 10 win mark in my mind? And you can still fall short of the playoffs hitting that mark.
Oh yeah, this division especially. And I think they'd really have to fall flat on their face for Eberflus to not get extended, to be honest with you. And I don't know. I don't know. Is it possible? And I'm asking this because I really don't know. Is it possible that he has a deal already past this season? You know what I mean? I haven't heard reports of that, but
no, I think this is a prove it year for sure. I think that was definitely a conversation they had when they decided to retain him this year. Like, we got to see some progress. We got to see some wins. We got to get these fans back on board and expecting winning in this city. So I definitely think it's a prove it year for him.
Yeah, and I don't know that Eberflus was 100% a Ryan Poles hire. I mean, I know Ryan Poles was the GM, but I think the hire was influenced by George. So I've said this from when we were talking about Justin Fields. If Ryan Poles is going to sink with the ship, he's not going to sink with a ship somebody else built. You know what I mean? Like, people were talking about Ryan Poles stabbed us in the back with Justin Fields. That wasn't Ryan Poles' guy. I don't know that Eberflus was necessarily Ryan Poles' hire, but once he decided to retain him in the offseason, he did kind of glued himself to him. But I think Dustin's right. I mean, there's no way Eberflus loses the locker room. That's not a concern of mine. So I think it's going to come down to, did the team progress or did it regress, really? It's pretty simple.
Yeah, with the Eberflus thing, I believe that him and Poles and Eberflus have the same agent, Trace Armstrong.
Okay.
I think that's the case, so I don't know if there's something going on with that. But Jay Grizz saying Chicago Sports Podcasts have the dope it. It says dope, and then he says guests afterward. So I'm thinking it means we have the dopest guests.
Well, we can thank Brandon Trex for that.
Yeah, he does a great job, man. We got Jeremy Munez saying, what would it take to get Harrison at 4? I think we kind of already touched base with that. I don't know if you guys got anything else to add to that.
It'll take a lot. It'll take a lot.
Pretty spot. I mean, you'd have to throw your 3rd round pick, the 9th overall pick, and probably some capital from next season's draft as well.
Definitely a second at least.
Unless you had a good player that you were looking to part ways with, but I don't see the Bears haven't been very active in trading players away.
Hey, Brandon. You were talking earlier about the depth of this team. Where are they the weakest in terms of depth? Because we're looking at a team that we're expecting
wide
to compete
receiver
this
and
year.
linebacker.
Wide receiver and linebacker.
And defensive line.
Well, linebacker in terms of if one of those guys gets hurt.
Yeah, the front 7 has no depth at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. I still think the front 7 on this Bears team is a major concern for me. That's why I'm not as sold. I mean, everybody was... they finished last year, and let's be honest, they finished last year with a rate of like 3 turnovers a game, 3 forced turnovers a game. They're not gonna roll into next season doing that again. I really don't see that happening.
Well, you don't see Javon Dexter taking a step forward in terms of his production.
I mean,
that's going to be
from
the
the
interior.
Well, first off, it depends.
right?
depends if Williams or is Williams the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
It depends.
No,
if he's
no, no, no. Williams
Washington.
Washington. They're from Buffalo.
Washington. Sorry,
Defensive line coach.
it depends if he was the right hire, and then also
I think he was.
How much?
I think
how
for
much?
sure he was.
How much? I mean, they know they lost Justin Jones, so you got to think that means it implies that they're going to give Gervon Dexter the opportunities. But I don't think Gervon Dexter was on the field nearly enough last season. I really don't. It's not like he had a Hall of Famer in front of him, and they drafted him pretty high. I think the team was excited about his development over the course of the year, and there would be entire quarters of football where I almost didn't see Gervon Dexter. So I mean, the guy's going to have to be on the field in order to progress.
But yeah, for sure. But that wasn't like he wasn't not producing. He was playing well in the snaps he had. He graded out really well in a lot of
I agree.
games,
I think he should have been on the field more. I don't think Justin Jones was good enough to keep a young developing rookie off the field. But my concern is this Bears team is infamously known for injuries over the course of the last 2 seasons. I can't remember 2 years ago they had the most games missed by a starting player. It was like 46 games altogether or something like that. And the offensive line, you know, Tevin Jenkins got some issues. Jaquan Brisker had issues with concussions. These are injuries that reoccur. So my question is, at what point? I mean, the Bears are obviously working on they're putting a good roster together. They're filling holes in their starting positions. They signed Byard, they signed Swift, they signed Everett, who is theoretically going to, I mean, if a 2 tight end set, he's a starting player. But are they in the position yet? Have all the starting holes been filled enough for them to start addressing the depth on their team? And are well,
they've been addressing depth, haven't they? In terms of the offensive line, in terms of the defensive backfield, right?
How much value do you put in the depth signings they've made in the offensive line?
Yeah, not much.
In the offensive line, it's tough. I mean, Bates, I think, is going to be a solid player for them.
I don't know that the white hair Patrick project is too much different from like having a what
Shelton
was the guy's
Bates.
Like I don't know. It seems like Ryan Poles has done this for 2 years.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to work. I don't maybe he's liked Ryan Bates for a couple of seasons. They were close to signing him a few years ago, so maybe he finally got his guy. But it's got to concern you that these guys have spent most of their time at other positions than the ones the Bears have signed them to, or on the bench, honestly.
The one thing you should count on, or you need to count on, is that Nate Davis is going to really elevate his play, and Tevin Jenkins, if he can stay healthy, is going to elevate his play, which is going to make it easier on whoever's in between them.
I don't even think Tevin needs to elevate his play. I think when he's on the field, he's phenomenal. Health is Tevin Jenkins,
but he can get better, man.
Tevin Jenkins' health can get better. Should probably be the biggest concern on their roster, honestly. That's just not a guy.
No.
If you lose, it's not a guy you just plug somebody else for. It's just he's really talented. He provides him and Darnell Wright are the anchors on that line. If you do lose them, it's gonna hurt worse than you think.
What is Caleb Williams the best at, though, Brandon?
What?
What's Caleb Williams the best at? What would you say he's the best at right now? Look, watching his film.
Like, what's his greatest strength?
What's his biggest strength? Yeah, what's he the best at?
Probably improvising.
Yeah.
Right? Making plays out of nothing, feeling the pressure and scrambling out of the pocket and making that's going to really help this offensive line. I think you can't really discount that at all.
Okay, but what's his greatest weakness, Dustin?
Hey, Grizz says that his I'm assuming he's saying Caleb Williams' greatest strength is RPO.
I think his greatest weakness is quick progressions. So if you lose a talented player like Tevin Jenkins and your progressions need to get quicker, which they will, I mean, we're all aware of that. If you lose a good player on the line, you will have to get quicker at reading the defense, reading the coverage. Is that something Caleb Williams is ready for?
I think so, but I think the biggest thing really in terms of his game is that he can create time in the pocket. Now, that has led to some of his weaknesses in terms of holding on to the ball too long. You know, those fumbles, those can lose you games. But he's also going to make this offensive line look a lot better than they actually are. I'm firmly confident in that because he's going to make plays outside of structure when things break down along that offensive line that are going to make them look better than they are.
I think they were ranked somewhere in the high 20s last year, 21st, right? If they don't acquire if they don't acquire another player in the draft, like Joe Alt or somebody like that, where do you think the Bears offensive line ranks this season? with Bates at center, and Tevin Jenkins and Nate Davis, Braxton Jones.
19th at the highest.
So you're moving 2 spots.
No, well, again, you're not really accounting for Caleb Williams' ability to eliminate the amount of sacks that show up on the stat sheet, and the amount of pressures that he can.
People said that about Fields too, though. I know they do.
But Caleb Williams can actually throw the ball, Dano.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams can actually keep his eyes
Dano.
downfield and throw the football. And we actually got receivers to catch it right now too. So that's a big difference that we can't forget.
Justin Fields took a lot of sacks, but he also did extend a lot of plays. He did.
Yeah, but what are you extending them for? Are you extending them to run? Are you extending them to score points? Are you extending them to get the ball down the field?
Well,
Caleb Williams does that really well.
I think Fields did a little bit of both. I would agree that he definitely extended. I wouldn't even call it extending a play. Like when you take off to run, I don't know that I call that extending a play, but I think that
well, that's my point. Yeah.
A lot of times in the red zone, like I can't remember which game it was. I think it was a touchdown.
A Trump supporter over here.
I think it was a touchdown against the Falcons. He was dead in the water. Maybe it was the Lions. He was dead in the water, and he extended the play and got the touch. Like I said, I don't believe the Bears' offensive line is anywhere near addressed.
Yeah, you see that DePlacy 7 says Dustin is 100% correct. His greatest strength is improvising.
I feel like that actually came out of my mouth, but that's okay.
All right. Well, is that your brother? Is that your brother, Dustin? Or
well,
what?
You went where I was leading you.
That's we're like the point guard dishing it out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What is this? Leonidas?
Fields held on to the ball. Big difference between extending a play. Thank you very much. And that's kind of what I'm saying. When Caleb Williams is extending the play, he's making a play down the field.
Created a lot of sacks, but also extended plays. I feel like I just said that.
I think we all agree on that. So, speaking of the NFC North, you guys see the Packers with the moves they've made this offseason? You think they're going to get better, stay the same, or?
I think they win the division.
Yeah.
I think they win the division. I think they're the best coach team in the NFC North. And I also think they were, I believe, the youngest offense in the NFL last season and pretty damn successful at that. And I don't see how they regress. You have a bunch of rookie and sophomore players getting just a little more experience underneath them. Jordan Love finished the season so well. I mean, if Jordan Love plays anything in the beginning of the season, like he did at the end of last season, I don't see how that team doesn't win this division.
Well, do you see the Lions regressing? Because I mean,
I do.
You do? Why? What's the reasoning behind thinking they're going to regress?
I just
what
don't.
Have they lost?
The Lions' depth concerns me too.
Yeah.
The Lions' defense is terrible. I'm sure they'll improve it over the course of the draft, and they've signed a couple players in the offseason, but they're still lacking depth. And I also think Reynolds moved on, right?
Yeah.
Is it Jamison Williams? Is that the kid's name that really hasn't been able to get his feet underneath him?
But when you see him step on the field, he gets open an awful lot. There's a lot of things to like about the Lions. There's a lot of things to like about the Packers. I think it's tough sledding to think the Bears can just come out this year and beat them. I think they're laying the groundwork to take back the North, which is what we're discussing, right? The Bears taking back the North. I think we're kind of in simpatico and thinking like to expect them to win the NFC North over the Lions and over the Packers this year. That's a big ask. I'm not saying it's impossible though. I really do. I think Caleb Williams is a better quarterback than Jordan Love. I think that's going to be what plays out. We're going to see Caleb Williams as a better quarterback than Jordan Love. I think the Lions have some weaknesses, like you were saying, Brandon, on defense, but they didn't get worse. So it's going to be tough to see them win it this year. But if they can be competitive in that division and they can win 3 games, I'm going to be happy with that because they're laying the groundwork for this plan that Poles laid out.
Dustin,
they're showing
the question was who wins? Who do you think wins the division? That's the question. Who do you think?
I think the Lions. I think the Lions are still the best team in the division. They were just in the NFC Championship, man, and they had a huge lead. They should have won that game. We all know they should have won that game. So I don't think that I would put the Packers above them.
I think the Packers played much better football over the final 8 weeks of the season than the
Yeah.
Detroit Lions. I actually think the Lions.
That's a solid point, but the Lions have good coaching too.
To be honest,
You know.
the Thanksgiving game where the Packers just obliterated the Lions was kind of the start of the Lions' downfall, where the Bears should have probably won 2 games against them, but split. And from that moment, I mean, the Lions were just exposed. And I think
you're saying they're exposed, but they went to the NFC Championship, man.
Yeah, they did. And the Packers.
So what was exposed?
The Packers ran into the same problem as the Lions. They both lost to the same team, didn't they?
Yeah, for sure. But it's just to say that they weren't playing good football at the end of the season is kind of silly when they went to the NFC Championship.
Do you think the Packers? So you said to me earlier, I said I don't know that I'm sold on the Bears defense based on the way they finished the season. You said why, as if you kind of are sold on what you saw. Do you think the Packers?
I think it's hard not to be.
Do you think the Packers' final 8 weeks or the Lions' final 8 weeks is more reflective of who they'll be next season?
I think that the Packers played really well at the end of the season, and they played really well against the 49ers in that divisional game. But I think if you're talking about who's the better team, you've seen additions made on both from both teams, and the Lions went farther last year. So I can't put the Packers over the Lions right now.
Who do you think the better quarterback is?
Oh, that's a tough one, man. Jordan Love, I really like him. Honestly, he's a gunslinger. He's not scared to throw the ball. He's not scared to make mistakes. He's going to come back out and still play his ass off. But Goff is a guy I would trust more in that playoff game right now.
No,
Goff is a guy I would trust more.
Never trust Jared Goff in a playoff game. His entire career is displayed awfulness in the playoffs.
I'm not a big fan of Jared Goff. Honestly, I'm not.
He's Kirk Cousins. He doesn't.
How did the Packers game against the Niners end, Brandon?
Hey guys, the bit double
with Jordan Love throwing an interception.
Yeah,
that's how it ended.
He was a first-year starter. I would expect Caleb Williams
that's kind of my point, though. But that's also how he plays. Sorry, Dan. Go ahead.
I'll let Brandon respond to that.
Jordan Love threw an interception in the second playoff game of his career.
Yeah,
second playoff.
He threw an interception to lose the game.
What is Jared Goff's playoff record?
I'm not sure, but it's not good.
I would imagine. I believe it's one win.
Super Bowl, right?
Well, it's not one win. He went to a Super Bowl, Brandon.
Yeah,
it's more than one win. He's probably about 500.
But
after this run,
Double M says Bears exploited the Lions. We should have beat them twice. You guys think that we're going to have the same success against the Lions this year? Do you think we just have their numbers, or do you think it was just kind of happened? I got lucky with them.
Well, no, there wasn't any luck. If anything, they worked against themselves to lose that game that they lost. The Bears did. So I don't think it was anything to do with luck. They outplayed them for good portions of both of those games.
So he is 5-4 in his playoffs.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'm going with the veteran in that case. Is all I'm saying. I really do like Love, but in terms of what Double M was talking about, man. What do you think about the Bears' chances against the Lions in 2 games this year? We're talking about them winning the North, right? So can they beat the Lions one out of those 2 times or both times?
Right. I think they have a better chance of beating the Lions 2 times than the Packers.
Yeah. I take one victory against the Packers would be like I think
the Bears. I think the Bears split 2 series and lose 1 series. I think they go 2-4 in the playoff or in their division.
I think you're probably right.
I think 3-3 is very possible.
I think. Listen, Caleb Williams is a great player. I'm so excited for him. He's coming into a really good situation. I think we're still getting a little ahead of ourselves. I really honestly believe that. I think. Absolutely. I mean, we went from.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here, Brandon.
We went from from expecting.
Let's talk it from both sides.
We went expecting misery to we're a Super Bowl funk. It doesn't. To me, there's got to be a happy medium somewhere where the progression of a rookie quarterback is more important than the quarterback's first year success.
I think a lot of that though comes from people that were, I don't want to call them Caleb haters. They're saying, "Oh well, they better win now their division, or else they should."
You have people that say he needs to throw for 4,000 yards to be worth the first overall pick. Let's try to ground ourselves a little bit and understand that if Caleb Williams finishes this season with a winning record, let's say 9 wins, like Dustin said, Caleb Williams had a good year. He's a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
I know he's coming into a different situation than most first overall picks, but he is still a rookie quarterback. I mean, how many rookie quarterbacks finished their rookie season with a winning record? I would love to see that figure. We need Michael.
Let's just yeah, Michael can chime in if he's in the chat. I would say let's just compare this to the Texans from last year, because that's the easiest comparison, right? It's the most recent. You're talking about a rookie that came in and had success with a team that had a lot more success than expected. But going back to that 8.5 wins that the Bears are projected as of right now, what do you think the Texans were projected last year?
Yeah,
before they won 10 games.
Well,
and which team is better? So if you're looking at, hold on, just let me make this point. If you're looking at 8.5 wins, I'm fairly certain the Texans were projected at like 5.5 wins going into last season. Nobody expected shit from them. So the Bears right now, the Bears right now are expected at 8.5 wins. So if they overperform by just 20%, you're looking at 10 wins, right? So that's something to consider, that Vegas even set those odds that high already.
But how do you assess Caleb Williams if they don't achieve what you're talking about?
I still assess Caleb Williams individually. I still assess Caleb Williams as a thrower, as a gamer, and looking for some of the stuff I saw in Jordan Love last year. Honestly, not afraid to make those mistakes. Just going out there and playing his ass off.
You can't project Caleb Williams' success on the Bears' success. Off the Bears' record. It's never been a quarterback statistic. It's not today. It won't be tomorrow. It's not going to be next season. If the Bears don't finish with 10 wins and Caleb Williams plays good football, I'm sorry, Bears fans, you don't want to hear this. The end result was good. That's what Ryan Poles expected.
Speaking of, Young 12's got a good comment here. He says, Caleb will end around 3,500, 3,800 yards and a 9-8 record. I mean,
that's decent. I expect 4,000 yards from Caleb Williams. I've said that multiple times on these pods. I think Caleb Williams is going to be the first Bears passer to go for over 4,000, and he's going to do it his rookie season.
I think the Bears are going to run the ball a hell of a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you get Keenan? You got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, man. You're going to have to get these guys the ball. It's not just going to be running a lot. And I hear a lot of people saying that, I think you got to run to establish the play action for Caleb Williams to make these reads a little easier for him.
You have to run the ball to get Caleb Williams comfortable. You have to.
No doubt. But also, he's got to get comfortable throwing the ball. And we got weapons for him to throw the ball to. So the Bears are going to be throwing the ball.
How does the rookie get comfortable throwing the ball? What does an offense have to do in order for a rookie to feel comfortable?
You got to get into a rhythm. You got to have good play calling.
Play action.
I think you have to establish the run.
I just said play action.
I'm sorry, bro. I was reading the comments.
Well, you establish the run to establish play action.
I think the Bears are still going to be the Bears, guys. They're still going to establish the run first. That's what they do. Meredith Eberflus was the coach of the team that was first and second in running the football. He was the head coach. I know Gatsby was the offensive coordinator. That is still the plan, I assure you.
Double M says if Caleb plays it safe this year, the Bears should have 10 wins.
So, Dano, how many wins do you think the Bears can get this year? What's your prediction as of right now? I know we still got the draft. We still got a lot of things to fall into place, but
I'm thinking anywhere between 8 and 9 wins.
8 and 9.
That would be my prediction. Yeah, and I think that depending on what that 8 or 9 wins looks like, I think that's a successful season.
I think the Bears are going to beat the teams that they're supposed to beat.
Right.
That's what I personally believe the Bears are going to do, which they haven't done for probably a decade. They haven't won those games. They haven't beaten bad teams. I think this is the year that you finally see the Bears do what you expect them to do based on where the team that they're playing is ranked at that point in the season. That's what I think.
Gregory Stevens says Swift was brought in because he's good at catching. There's a lot of other running backs they could have paid to run. So, I think that has just as much to do with having Caleb Williams feel comfortable also.
Right.
Well, yeah, to throw the ball out of the backfield, those dump off screens,
I think on record, he's going to check down the ball a lot.
Yeah, you have said that, yeah.
But that's a good point, Gregory. They brought in a pass catching back, but they still do have Roshan and they still do have Herbert, and they're going to try to run those guys. But you're talking about guys that average between 4.3 and 4.6 yards per carry between those two guys. So I don't know how.
I expect those numbers will come down.
How successful they're going to be with the run, you expect those numbers to go up. But you just said the offensive line was
those numbers are going to come down because Fields is
Those
no
are gonna come
longer
down.
Fields is no longer running the ball. Those averages will come down.
Well, I'm talking about the averages strictly of just Roshan and Khalil
No,
Herbert.
I think
4.3 and 4.6
I think those averages come down.
because of the lack of threat of Fields running the ball.
Yeah, because I think the defense was kind of often, at least in Getsy's offense was often confused about where the ball might go, considering we threw screen passes like 50% of the time. I do think that both running backs benefited from Fields' ability to run. I do.
Well, that's not very 4.3 yards isn't very good. I wasn't like laying it out as a good average. I don't know. I don't know that the Bears are going to focus as much on running as people are saying. I think you get a new toy, you want to play with it, you want to let that car out the garage and hit your top speed, man. So
Didn't they
didn't
they get a new toy in the running game?
Yeah, they did. And as Gregory Stevens pointed out, he's a pass catching back more so.
He's really not. He ran for 1,000 yards last year.
Yeah, behind the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, man, he had more yards before contact than any other running back in the league.
Not as good.
Averaged 7.7 yards per catch for his career. So that's the kind of guy that they got to catch the ball.
40+ receptions every year. I'm aware.
You guys say, hey, Brandon,
for sure.
Brandon, you see Leonidas' comment? If Bears are about to run, I figured they would have gone after Derrick Henry.
You know, Derrick Henry wouldn't have been the best option for the Bears, I don't think. I think they made a good choice with Swift.
Well, and why?
All those carries on a guy you don't want.
Why? What? Do you guys know, like, besides maybe the 49ers, how many teams, like, we saw the Chiefs in the running back. We saw the Chiefs in they won 2 Super Bowls back to back. How much is the Chiefs running back paid?
He's a rookie on a rookie contract, Pacheco, man.
Do Super Bowl teams often throw the bank at run? I mean, those guys typically the teams that win. Who's the best Patriots running back over their dynasty?
I mean, you could just get a guy at running back, man. I mean,
Danny Woodhead, James White.
You don't
pass catching backs like DeAndre Swift.
Signing a running back to a mega deal doesn't get you Super Bowls.
That's not how you build a team.
It just doesn't equate.
Well, the Bears kind of just signed a running back to a mega deal, man. 8 years, $8 million a year. You know, 3 years
guaranteed.
15 guaranteed. Yeah, but I mean, if he plays it out, I'm just saying that's big money for a running back.
That had to do.
But the reason that I feel more comfortable with that is because he is more of a dynamic playmaker and a pass catching back, and they're going to rotate him out a lot with those 2 power running backs. You know.
I think that if you already got everything else, now I'm not saying what the Bears did, they did, but I think you maybe pay the running back, and that just puts you over the top. You know what I mean? You don't go.
Well, I also think the Bears. Do you guys know that all 3 Bears running backs last year they actually played Dearrington Evans at some point? This is all 3 running backs in the Bears roster were injured last season. Mm-hmm. It's not like they didn't need another run. I mean, that's a position that is probably the most injured in the NFL.
Well, if you just need a body, you don't spend that much money. They spent that money on that money on Swift to make an impact.
The body is Roshan and Herbert. Swift is the running back. The body you need is Roshan and Herbert.
And they're going to utilize them, but I just don't think they're going to utilize them and more than they utilize Caleb Williams' arm.
I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure DeAndre Swift has not actually played a full season in the NFL for 4 seasons.
Nope.
Did he miss a game last year?
What do you think about? I think we've talked about this offline too. Is what's the deal with them interviewing or meeting with all these running backs in the draft? You think they're just doing their due diligence, or
no? I think they're absolutely going to sign. They're going to sign an undrafted free agent running back, 100%.
Okay. You think they're going to keep? Yeah. You think they're going to maybe possibly trade Herbert?
I don't know what they could get for Herbert. It's not. They're not going to have a big market for it.
Who do the Cowboys have at their right?
I think they would depend upon how they feel.
Yeah, that's a good point. But
I think they would depend upon how they feel about Roshan.
Yeah.
I don't know that they've seen enough of Roshan.
Definitely not.
I know I ain't seen enough from Roshan. I mean, real disappointing to me. I don't know.
Yeah, in limited opportunities. I think he had like 2 touchdowns. Like he averaged 4.6 yards a carry, a few hundred yards. We'll see in terms of the run game. I think they do have the players that they can feel comfortable with to run the ball and establish the run, like Brandon's saying. But that's going to be to make sure that they can get over the top of these defenses. I saw that in the comments earlier. Bigger chunk plays, getting the ball down the field. And again, I don't think you can discount how much putting Caleb Williams back there and letting him make some plays is gonna take a lot of pressure off your offensive line. It's gonna make them look better. I firmly believe that.
Yeah. I just want to real quick thank some of our sponsors. I want to thank Serendipity Ice Cream, which is actually right across the street from Bridges. We walked over there, and man, that place is old school, old fashioned ice cream. It was good. I had the chocolate peanut butter, and that was real good. And then Worst Stadium Club. It's in the south suburbs here in Illinois. But we got about 10 minutes left on the show tonight, guys. Anything else either you two wanted to touch base with that I haven't brought up or you can think of?
No, let me send this message to all Bears fans out there in the world. If the Bears aren't in the playoffs, if they don't have 10 wins,
chill out.
Keep your pants on, man. Honest to God. If the Bears are doing this right, and if you want them to rush something and force something to prove that they've progressed, and I think it really comes to me, honestly, this hope for playoffs still comes down to Justin Fields. It really does to me. It's like you need to prove to me it was worth trading Fields to get Caleb Williams to go to the play. Just relax. Just relax. Like, if the Bears get, as Dustin said, was it the Vegas line, 8.5?
Yeah, 8.5. Yeah.
8.5 games over under. Yeah.
If the Bears get 9 wins, take it. If your quarterback progresses for the first time in your franchise's history, if your rookie quarterback progresses and is a better player at the end of the season than he was in the first week of the season, take that. Be happy with it. Be excited. Be excited for the following season.
Go get your Caleb. Go buy your number 13 jersey.
This is not a one-year deal. It's not. You're drafting a quarterback. He's a rookie. You want success for the next decade, or do you want to make sure you make the playoffs next year? Just think about it. Perspective. Have some perspective.
Calm down a little bit.
The Bulls
enjoy the ride.
The Bulls
lost.
Bulls got beat up.
113-101. Hawks beat them. Yeah. Play-in game preview right there. Looks like we're gonna have a tough time getting into that 8 seed. I would say when it comes to what you're saying, Brandon, I've said the same thing on these pods and to you guys when we've talked back and forth. I think to have those expectations could go a little beyond realistic, but at the same time, can you blame Bears fans, right, for expecting better from this team, and when you start to get that fed to you, you want to grab it all at once because you haven't had it in so long.
The expectation's not wrong. It's how you react if they don't achieve it.
With expectations come disappointment, Brandon. That's just a natural thing. That's part of being a fan, right? But that's part of being a fan in Chicago right now too.
That's my point. If you're disappointed in your rookie quarterback progressed over the course of the year, you are viewing the wrong thing. You're watching the wrong.
That's not what the conversation is. The conversation is, can the Bears have a good enough record to compete in the NFC North, right? With these teams that we've talked about that we believe are good teams that were in the playoffs.
8 wins is competing in the NFC North, I believe. I think so.
Well, for sure. But if they're set, my point from saying that, the 8.5 wins, if they're set at 8.5, then that means that they're already thought of pretty damn highly because they're going to have that. That's knowing they're going to have that rookie quarterback. And we don't know how Caleb's going to perform yet. I'll give you that. I expect him. I expect him to perform well.
And you know what?
And I do put more stock. Hold on. I do put more stock in that defensive performance at the end of last year than you're saying, because the amount of takeaways they generated just from adding that pressure on the edge, right? The amount of sacks that they were able to get out of that position, that makes a huge difference. And if you're talking about depth at the linebacker position, if you're really deep in the secondary and you're getting pressure on the front four, then those linebackers got a lot of room to work in, man. So you really can't discount the depth of that defensive backfield and the addition of Montez Sweat and the impact it had on this team.
If the Bears don't add some talent to that defensive line in the draft, lower your expectations. There too. They're
going to, Brandon. They're going to. That's going to happen. Whether it's Jared Verse or Dallas Turner, or if it's a guy later on. Yeah, or like an Austin Booker out of Kansas, who could be a freak. There's a lot of options. And there's options at that defensive tackle position, that three technique.
Stay grounded. Just stay grounded.
I think we're all grounded, but we also
think
want to
I
see our
had a
team
phone
succeed.
conversation with you where you said playoffs is a little bit of a stretch. That's what you said to me.
No, for sure. But I'm also going to get myself excited for that possibility, given what I'm seeing put together.
But
you know,
don't
and if I'm a little disappointed, so be it. But the Bears are setting something up that we haven't seen before. We can't deny that.
Listen, Bears fans, don't judge success based on the Bears' record next season. Just don't do it.
Long term is more important. The long term view is much more important than the short term. I agree with that.
Hey, you got to eat your dinner before you eat your cake. You know what I mean? So, but
I just had my dinner. I'm good. I'm ready to go.
Double M has a good question. He says, "How much of the preseason will they let Caleb play?"
Probably a lot.
Yeah, they got to let this guy play.
What else is on there? They don't have much left on the roster in terms of quarterbacks.
What do you mean? We got Pager, man. What are you talking about?
That's another depth. That's another position that you got to concern yourself with in depth.
Yeah.
Honest to God, if the rookie quarterback is injured, you don't have an answer on your roster.
Well, that still remains to be seen. There's still some options out there. They could make some moves if something. I do too. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, I think they're putting a lot of things in place to try to keep this kid healthy. And when it comes to the preseason, I think you got to let him get some reps. I know a big issue I had with Nagy with those teams was they got very limited time in the preseason, and they always came out at the beginning of the season looking like ass. You got to get your guys some reps. You got to get them ready to go for the real thing, you know. So hopefully they let him play enough to get his feet wet.
I believe the quarterback who took the most snaps in the preseason last year was C.J. Stroud.
So I think we could be looking at them signing a veteran like sometime after the preseason. The final cuts in the preseason.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, Tannehill's still out there, and I like him as an option. Yeah. I really do. I really do. But I also wouldn't bet behind him.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears, maybe not because he's not familiar with. I mean, it's a new system, but they like familiar. They go get a Peterman or whatever his name is, unless he's signed. I don't know.
Stop it!
the Bears treat that position. I don't like the way the Bears that Ryan Wilson's treated that position.
I don't want to see Nathan Peterman ever again. No, thank you.
So we have Tyson Bagent needs to progress too. I think that should be your last.
He's going to get a lot of playing time in the preseason. Tyson Bagent.
You know, Peterman's going to end up being like an OC somewhere one day. Watch.
They can have him, man. I think he signed in New Orleans. They can have him. I don't ever want to see that fucking guy again. No, thank you.
I thought you had. Did you burn your Peterman jersey? That's what you were wearing last Saturday, weren't you?
I bought one just to burn it.
I had it
custom made because they don't make his jersey.
Yeah, they don't sell those.
It's not good enough to warrant that.
VVV Jiggy says, I think 8.5 wins is a good and realistic line. I agree with you, bud. I agree with
that too. But again, if you're overperforming by just 15-20%, that's 10 wins.
Comments. I like how Brandon cherry picks the comments to go with what he agrees. No,
I'm the one that brought it up in the first place.
You've read.
I just think that if it's set that high already, you got a chance, man. You got a chance to get those 10 wins.
Yeah, I agree that 8.5 is, I think, perfect. I mean, Vegas knows what they're doing.
Do you guys think 10 wins is playoffs in the NFC North?
That's a thing, man.
Yeah. Who made the playoffs this past season?
You think the Lions and the Packers have less than 10 wins?
I think the Packers could go anywhere between 9 and 12, man. And I think the same with the Lions, probably between that 9 to 12 range.
I think the Lions win total regresses and the Packers increases.
I agree. I
really do.
The Lions are going to lion.
I think the Packers beat the Lions up 2 games this year.
Yeah, you're a big Packers fan. We all know. Let's talk some Bulls basketball, guys, for a second.
What do you got?
Why? Because they're such a freaking confusing team, right? Like they come out yesterday against the Timberwolves and they look like gangbusters, man. They were awesome. They were competitive. They were playing their asses off the whole time, making big shots in big moments. The game before on Friday against Brooklyn, they came out flat as hell and they were flat the whole game and they lost to an inferior team. It's tough to watch them, you know, when they play down to the level of competition and they play up to the level of competition. And I really think that that's coaching. I really think that that's something that needs to be adjusted with Billy Donovan, as in him not being here anymore. I think it's fun to watch that. It'll be fun to watch them play in the play-in. I love watching the Bulls. They
Dude,
break my heart all the time.
I don't
but
see an
they-
end in sight for them. They're in basketball
I mean,
purgatory, dude.
Three years in a row without making a trade, man. Yeah,
Dude,
no, they're pretty content with their fucking mediocrity. It's,
Yeah, and I think
ridiculous.
making the play-in might be the worst thing for that
Yeah,
organization.
yeah.
I think as long as they're sold they're doing something good enough, they think they're good, and like that.
yeah,
just-
but just like with Garpax, man, eventually the pressure from the outside is going to be like, well, this ain't good enough. We're in Chicago.
no,
this
I don't
Bulls
want.
team.
I don't
you know,
want that again. The pressure from the outside should get you fired.
Yeah.
That's what
That's
should
what I'm
happen.
saying, and that's what
Yeah.
needs to happen. AK needs to be gone. You
Yeah.
know,
I
what
don't
he's
want
done
pressure
is
to force change. I don't want them to be like, well, we have to trade the DeMar DeRozan, the pieces that matter now.
no. I
Like,
want the pressure to force the change in
Yeah.
management, like it did
Get
with
'em-
Garpax.
yeah, get 'em
him
out.
the fuck out of here.
They
I
need
don't
a
even-
change in.
I think you could make an argument that they're worse. I really do. I really do.
What's
They're-
that, Brandon?
I think you can make
What'd
an
you say?
argument that AK and what is it, Eversley?
Eversley, yeah.
I think you could make a case that they're worse.
Yeah,
They're just I don't know if it's just arrogance or stubbornness, or they're just too naive to see that it just doesn't work. Something's not working, and I don't understand how when you have pieces, not very many teams were in the position the Bulls were in where they had pieces that teams actually viewed as quality contending pieces. Like the Bulls had all
VV
kinds of
Jiggy.
guys that other teams were like, we could take it. We could use that to get over the hump. I mean, you had Vooch, you had DeRozan, you had guys under good contracts.
They
But,
had a lot of pieces they could have moved for some good rebuilding
other
chips,
teams
and they
would have
just said, "Screw that,
Alex-
we're going to
Alex
keep pushing
Caruso
through this."
As far as we read, I don't know if it's Alex Caruso got a call from 29 other teams, and that's every team in the NBA. Like, why are you not willing?
No,
to
everybody
move these?
wants an AC. They had a lot of pieces that they could have moved that they didn't, and they're going to pay for that. I think VVV Jiggy says Bulls are so sad, right? Not good enough for any kind of run, not bad enough to get a decent draft pick. They're in
it's called
purgatory,
basketball.
guys.
No, they're
Purgatory.
they're like you said, purgatory. Honestly, they're in the worst. Like, they're in the worst place I think a sports organization could be.
Yeah.
in. Honest to God, because you watch teams strip it down and like you at least get a little excited. Like, hey, they're adding. Like you watch a baseball, like the Sox had farm talent. You're watching teams like they're at least moving towards something. Even if it's going to take some years to get there, the Bulls are just content with being exactly where they are.
Running on a hamster wheel, man. Yeah.
I've
you-
never
Speaking-
seen
Nonetheless,
It's just crazy.
I think we've met our Bulls quota for the night. Real quick.
no,
before
for sure.
we-
Let's move on.
Before
We can talk
leave.
some college basketball, Dano.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm good.
No, you're good. What you don't have any thoughts on the Final Four? What do you think
Well,
about
if you
Purdue,
guys-
man?
If you guys, honestly, I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not a huge college basketball, but if you want to talk about it for our listeners, go ahead.
I think it's
Oh,
worth
Brandon.
talking about.
Yeah, go
Oh,
ahead.
what do you think of the Final Four we got? What did you think of those games over this past weekend?
I thought the games this past weekend weren't very good, to be honest. But I think
There were
think
some
you're-
really
I th-
good games,
I
Brandon.
think you're going to see the result everybody expected when the Sweet 16 was kind of in place. I do think UConn, Purdue end up being in the championship, and I would imagine UConn beats Purdue, which I think is what I bet you 85% of brackets that did from Sweet 16 on, because I was in a few of those brackets myself. It's UConn, Purdue, and I think for the first time in a long time, college basketball is kind of playing out the way you just expect it to, which is not really the MO for college basketball. We
got a number 11 seed in there. We got a number
I don't-
11 seed in the
Yeah,
Final
I don't
Four.
think NC State has a chance of winning. I do think Alabama will play will play UConn well, but what was the last was Jimmy V NC State?
Yes,
Yeah.
Was that the last
Jim
time?
Valvano.
Was that the last time NC State won?
Man, what about DJ Burns on NC State? That big dude that's just throwing up nice little floaters over Duke all game, just backing them down. That big boy, I couldn't believe
Yeah.
how he just torched them, man. Those were some good games, honestly. I thought the games over this past weekend were way
No,
better than I expected them to be, man.
And I think
I know
what you
Illinois
just-
got drubbed at
I think
30-0
you're-
run, but
I think you're going to see a good matchup underneath the hoop there. NC State, Purdue for sure.
Your boy VV Jiggy says UConn looks like they are going to crush everybody.
Yeah.
That I do know. That's what I've been hearing.
Yeah,
they do.
which
It's
is
probably
exactly,
UConn.
which is
But
exactly
I would
what they
love
did
to
last year.
see Edie take it to him and somehow find a way to win because I just love that guy's swagger and his
break
toughness.
the curse. That team is just it's every time, man. Like,
I don't know. You got to be relevant to be cursed, though, man. I don't know that they've ever been relevant enough to be.
They get there a lot and they just lose to teams they shouldn't lose to. Man.
Caitlin Clark won tonight, beat LSU. That's pretty good. The women's tournament, right? Like,
did she do the did she do the thing? What was the thing? What was the hand?
The thing?
What was the hand motion Angel Reese gave her last year after LSU won the game?
Oh,
she walked up to her and did. She walked up to her and did something. I don't remember.
Didn't she get offered a $5 million contract for that three
from Ice Cube? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard she could still play in that
guys.
WNBA,
tonight she scored 41 points with 12 assists.
That girl, she might
9 of 20 from 3. Jesus
she might
Christ.
get the biggest WNBA contract in history. She might get like $6,000 a year.
Holy shit. Holy
Stop
shit.
it. The WNBA is about to have some real talent going into there, man.
I'm sorry.
It's a little exciting.
Just playing around.
Yeah. We love women. Support them, Brandon. Don't.
We do.
And then you guys watch any of the Cubs? Sox?
I was just going to say that. Did you guys see the Christopher Morel inside the Park Little League home run?
I have been watching the Cubs. The Cubs have been very interesting because the bats, the guys that have been hitting the ball were not the guys that
Who upsets UConn? I like that.
The Suzuki's and the Bellingers haven't really shown up, and then Ian Happ and Morel have been the hero on the offensive side of the ball. But the White Sox, man, we're 3 games in. I can't talk too much, but it's worse than I expected it to be.
They're going to be really bad.
They've had a runner in scoring position, I think, twice over 3 games.
I tell you what, though, I almost had a heart attack when Steele got hurt.
I feel like I did that. I was messaging the group chat how well he was playing, and then how well he was throwing the ball, and then all of a sudden he's giving up. He gave up 2 runs, and then he's out for a month. I think I jinxed them, man. I shouldn't talk Cubs.
I do think the Cubs will be just fine. I think Imanaga had a really good game.
Oh, dude, yeah. What
good to see. We got the Japanese guy nobody else wanted, and he ends up being a player. So. But no, I think the Cubs will be okay. The Steele injury is concerning to me because the Cubs are projected to make the playoffs by only a handful of games.
Yeah.
So you don't. I mean, that guy missing maybe 5 or 6 starts. We were saying earlier, Dustin. That's not a good sign.
It could be a silver lining though. They brought Brown up, so maybe he gets.
Maybe they find they got another starter.
He got hurt.
He got hurt, man. He got hurt.
Yeah.
He got hurt in a different way than Steele.
Don't ruin it for me, man.
Yeah. No, I think the Cubs will be fine, man. The good thing about the Cubs is they have a guy who's able to manage young talent if we do have to end up pulling guys up. So
Young 12 says Astros no hitter.
Is that today?
Already?
So that's what Young 12's telling us. I don't know if Michael was here, he can confirm that for us.
They stealing signs again or what?
Yeah. That's today. Yeah.
Wow.
No hitter. Toronto had. Yeah. Let's see here.
Just gotta love to not love the Astros.
Blanco went all 9 innings.
Oh wow.
Only 7 Ks though, but didn't allow a hit or a run.
I can't stand that. Like them, the Braves, they're always good.
What, the constant success and
like the Braves
well-managed team.
The Braves have been good for 35 years now, and like you know what I mean. It's like
they took some lumps for a little while.
A couple years here and there, but since we were kids, or at least
don't be mad at them. Let's be mad at our teams for not doing the same damn thing.
But you like to see Houston and Atlanta versus what the Yankees and the Red Sox for 2 decades.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Although I am a Yankees fan though, so.
Go Red Sox.
I got the MLB network, so I get to watch all the games.
You're a Yankees fan?
I mean, I'm a Cubs fan, but I like the Yankees too. Yeah. You used to like.
I don't know if this is worse. I don't know if this is worse. I'm a Cubs fan and I like the White Sox, and that's going to piss.
Yeah, I don't hate the
people off,
White
I'm sure.
Sox. I don't hate the White Sox. I tell you, to be honest with you, because I live here in the south suburbs, I've gone to way more Sox games than I've been to Cub games.
It's so easy to go, man, and it's a great time.
It takes me 15 minutes to get, or 20 minutes to get there. So
yeah, as long as they suck,
it's accessible.
Tickets are cheap.
I do gotta see what a $17 shake tastes like, though.
Hey, I'll tell you this. I got to see a game last
John
year.
Travolta over here. Pulp Fiction.
I watched
I want this young 12. This must be somebody I know. He says Dan is the biggest bandwagon in sports history.
That's the Yankees thing.
Who is this?
I'll make a word of it. If anybody who
probably
in
tracks his burner account.
Right.
Anybody in the Chicagoland area that wants to go watch a baseball game, go watch Luis Robert play some baseball.
Oh yeah,
go watch that. I watched the Cubs and Sox last year. I went to 2 games, and that guy is. I mean, you're talking about probably a future MVP.
Dude,
honestly.
do you think if they really strip it down, they trade him? Is that contract is such a good contract?
I would hate to see it happen, but I also hate to see the White Sox get stuck in purgatory like we talked about. I mean, if that's the piece you can move to alter your franchise's future, should you do it? Probably.
Young 12 messaged you on Facebook, Dan.
Yeah, I have to look at it when I get out there.
No, the Sox got to tear it down, guys. I don't see how they don't.
They don't even have. Matt Coop was talking on here last week about the farm system, and I'm like going through these names over the last couple of days. I'm like,
here's their farm system. Colton Montgomery, the end. That's his name, right? Colton Montgomery, the shortstop. Am I saying that right?
They got I think there's like 2 or 3 there in the top 50, but that's
they just traded for whoever they got for Cease. There's got to be. You would hope at least a couple good players. For that.
I mean, it's not looking good, man. It's not looking good, and I would like to see the Sox succeed.
Yeah, it's good for
trade Robert, trade Vaughn
for the city.
Yeah, trade Robert, trade Vaughn, probably. I would imagine.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, right?
You have to do it.
Moncada,
you gotta use talent to get talent.
Yeah. Jimenez, probably, right? I mean, at least all these guys.
But again, nothing's gonna. Let's be real, though, guys. Nothing is going to change, especially with the White Sox, until Reinsdorf sells the team.
Here's a question for you.
What's going to happen?
Here's a question for you. The White Sox.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the Bulls. You're right.
The White Sox next series is the Braves. Do they win their first game in the 3rd series of the season against the Kansas City Royals?
Probably, if they could even do that.
I don't know. Yeah, they might
start
not
last
year.
They
just get one, right?
0-9 or something.
I don't know, man. You'd like to think they could find a way to win one of those games.
They could get one against the Royals, right?
No, against the Royals, I think what I'm saying, do they go 2 entire series before winning their first game?
No, yeah, probably.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yes, probably. That's probably what's going to happen.
Bad, man. It's bad. I think the White Sox are probably a worse position than the Bulls, honestly.
I don't know, man. I mean, they're closer to being really bad, so maybe not. The Bulls.
No, I think it depends upon what happens at the trade deadline. Do they actually hey, we can move some pieces unlike the Bulls?
But at least we can watch the Bulls in some competitive games and at least get some semi-enjoyment.
Oh, the Bulls!
I'm still going to. I'm still going to watch. I'm still going to root. I'm still going to have fun.
And they sell tickets. And honestly, DeMar Rosen's a great player to watch. Kobe White's improvement this year is probably comparable to
Kyle Harris.
I would imagine.
Go Pack, go.
You're the wrong.
Go Pack, go away.
Yeah.
I would imagine Kobe White's the most improved player this season, right? Is there anybody else?
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
And that
what happens with him when what's his name comes back?
Zion Williamson is up there in that conversation too. You know, there's some good players that have
Zion's been good though. He just hasn't stayed healthy. I don't know. If like
he put down the cheeseburgers or what?
Kobe's the betting favorite to get it as of right now. Last time I looked, so I mean that's been the funnest thing about the Bulls, man, is just watching Kobe grow. You know, when they drafted him 7 out of UNC, I was
FGB. There you go.
Attaboy.
Oh, I get it.
Well, guys, go ahead, Dustin. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Kobe White deserves a lot of credit and a lot of attention and a lot of love for the work he's put in to become a true starting point guard in this league, because it didn't look like he was going to do it, and he's doing it. And that's at least one exciting thing about watching the Bulls this year.
Yeah. Anything else?
Io
Anything to
too.
finish with, Brandon?
Io's
What's that?
improved very,
You got
very
any? You
much
got
as
any
well.
closing thoughts? On the Bulls
Don't go on your fucking
side?
Bears tirade again about lowered expectations, please. We already did that.
Reality? No, I'd say, it's people could. It's a good day to be a Bears fan, man.
Yeah.
It is. It's exciting. It's funny. I saw this April Fool's stuff
Yeah.
of like, oh, Bears trade first pick, Bears are taking Drake, like all this stuff, and it's just like it just becomes more and more apparent to I think everybody, even the naysayers, like it's the Bears are drafting Caleb Williams, and if you don't start getting excited about that,
Yeah.
are you a Bears fan or are you just a Justin Fields fan, man? I mean, like you got to be. It's a new chapter. Oh, let's move forward. Be
Take
happy,
back
man.
the North, Bears.
Here we go.
We're gonna do it.
Yeah, took
Yeah,
a few years. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all right.
yeah,
Well-
but yeah, it's good. It's a good time to be a Bears fan, guys.
I think the only closing thought I had was, I think with this ninth pick is going to decide: are we going to have a great defense with this ninth pick, get an edge rusher to kind of complete the defense, or are we going to have the offense get that one step closer to being really, really good?
I think
Yeah, and in that vein, I mean, my final thing would be like I brought up earlier: Bears move up in this freaking draft and go get the player that you want that will put your team over the top, where you can start taking the North back. If we feel like we're this close, it makes no sense to not just go all in to try to add those players that are going to grow and develop with Caleb Williams, and we can have the North for the next 6 years if we do this right. So go get your guy if you see him, and you don't wait until number 9. That's where I feel. Let's make something happen.
Yep.
Well, and the Bears are fortunate enough to be in a position where if they do have, would you say, Dan, like 11 picks next year? I mean,
It could be up to 11
It's
picks.
9 right now. Yeah.
you could probably afford to spare a few if you really want to get aggressive in the draft. I don't think it'll hurt you.
Yeah.
That's my point. Yep. All right, guys, this has been fun.
Yeah, good job. We got the A team on tonight, so it was a lot of fun. But I think
everybody in the chat did great. There was some great comments coming through. Great questions. Loved you guys' performance tonight. You guys killed it.
All right, guys. Until next time.
Great job, Brandon. Great job, Daniel.
Bear down, guys. Bear down.